All right, hello and welcome everyone to another Willpop Vinyl video. This is going to be the first part of a series that I'm beginning here that I'm going to tentatively title Demystifying Discogs. The idea here is to introduce everyone to the Discogs platform first through how to edit, and then maybe we'll do things like figuring out how to sell records and set up a shop. That's something you're interested in. But for now, it's going to be editing and contributing to Discogs. And hopefully you've done that already, but if not, I understand because it's a pretty complicated and intimidating site. Some aspects of Discogs can feel very Web 1 or Web 2, just not very updated and easy to use. And so I'm here to kind of help guide you through some of the simpler aspects of Discogs. Sorry, not simple necessarily, but make it feel simple for you is the hope. So what we're going to do today is update some Discogs entries. This is the easiest way that you can get started contributing. So I have with me a couple of records. This one here, Unrelated, from Sam Gendel and Sam Wilkes, that came in the mail just before my trip to Japan. And then if you watched my Japan videos, then you saw both of these, Wave Notation 1, Music for 9 Postcards, and Dexter Gordon's Go. So we're going to be looking at those Discogs entries as they currently exist and updating them. Now, you might be wondering, why should I get into contributing? What's the point? Well, Discogs data is not something that's populated by a centralized source. I've talked a little bit about this on some other Discogs related videos, but it's kind of like Wikipedia, right? If people aren't contributing that information, then it's not going to be there for you to use it. And every little bit of information is potentially really useful, especially if you're, say, in a shop trying to figure out what you have in your hands. If you want to buy it, the more information that's there, the easier it's going to be for you to match what you have against the database. Or maybe you are back at home and trying to confirm, right, that what you just ordered on Discogs, for example, is actually what you wanted it to be. And I've had a few cases in my Discogs buying where, yeah, like someone sends me actually the wrong press because they didn't do their diligence when they were listing and didn't look for some of the things that we're going to talk about in this video. So I'm going to pause real quick here to pull up Discogs. All right, so we've got Discogs up here. And as you can see, this is the Unrelated record just released by Sam Gendel and Sam Wilkes. You should definitely give this a listen. It's really awesome, very vibey, abstract, ambient jazz. I'm actually going to go see them later in the month. I'm super excited for that. They're playing in New York, so hopefully they're playing some stuff off of this or something new, but that's a diversion. We're here to talk about Discogs. So you can see here basically self-release, so there's no label. They've got format, country, release date, and all this stuff. The track list, credits, notes. This is a pretty sparse entry, but also it being a self-release record, I think there's no real credits or anything like or inserts, so there's not that much information to pull. Discogs does want you to pull primarily all the information that you put up off the record itself, not off of other sources like websites from the labels or from Bandcamp or anything like that. Though I have opinions on that, but anyways, let's go to edit release, because what we're going to do here is add the matrix runouts. So to edit the release, first you click edit release, and then to give you a sense again of how outdated this is, we're going to click edit release again. We have to click twice to get to edit release. And this is the template for updating releases on Discogs. There's a lot of information here. You're typically only going to have to interact with maybe one or two sections of it. So we can see that whoever kicked off this entry already has the artists here. This little Sam Wilkes has a 2 next to it because that means that there's at least one other artist on Discogs with the name Sam Wilkes. So they denote that with like Sam Wilkes 2, Sam Wilkes 3, etc. The title's in here. The label, it's not a label, it's self-released. Vinyl, there's one disc, it's an LP. I don't know if it's stereo. I mean, if we could check that off, it's not like there's like 20 versions of this, so I don't think it's really relevant. Country of origin US. So for example, the Dexter Gordon, that would be like Japan, and we'll get to that in a moment. Date release, this doesn't have to be so precise. You can see if you only know the year, that's fine. someone's put in all of the tracks and their position on the A sides and B sides along with the durations. And we're just going to skip down here to, oh, I actually passed the section that I wanted to do, I think. Where is it? Here we go. It's hidden here. So the section that we're going to edit is called barcodes and other identifiers. And we are going to put in not the barcode, because this particular release doesn't have a barcode. It was sold only on Bandcamp, so I can understand why. But we're going to put in the matrix / runout. And there's going to be there's two sides to the record. Each has a matrix or runout, like etching or stamp in it. So let me just pause real quick and I will show you pictures I took that, yeah, you can see where I pulled this. So give me one moment. All right, so for the sake of just helping everyone find this, because it can be a little bit difficult if you've never looked up this information before on a record. So you can see here around the label, just in this area where there's no actual audio information etched into the record, this is known as the dead wax. You can see here whoever pressed the record etched SGSW-001-B. And then around the other side of the record, they also have this numbering 48342.21 in parentheses and then 3 dots. And this is the B side of the record. You can see the B here. And the A side of the record has a very similar, I wrote it down. It's SGSW-001-A 48342.1 parentheses 1 ... So yeah, I assume that like the parentheses is probably for if they ever do a second or third pressing of this, that they would just up that to 342.2 parentheses 2, parentheses 3. Probably this is not going to get repressed, or if it does, it'll be a long time. So you could argue that updating this entry at all might be a little bit silly, but this is a great way to actually search up a record that you have in your hand in the shop, rather than going to try to find, especially if it's something that's like an old record that has many pressings. A lot of older jazz records and classic rock records have been pressed and repressed and reissued and done so many different ways over the 30, 40, 50 years that they've been available, that sometimes the best way is just to look at the dead wax, discern as much of this as you can, type it into the search bar, and see what comes up. And that'll give you your best guess as to what you're holding, especially if you're like not going to spend a half hour doing it, right? So having this information on Discogs available for everyone makes searching that way the best. And right now, if you search this record, it would not come up by searching these this string of characters. So I'm going to pause again. We'll go back to Discogs and we're going to enter it. All right, so we're back on the Discogs screen here. We're editing our entry for this Sam Gendel, Sam Wilkes record. And I'm going to go ahead and start with the A side. So I'm going to type in SGSW-001-A. And then I'm going to do a couple spaces to indicate that this is perhaps on another section of the record. And then type in 48342.1, parentheses 1, ... And then I'll add a description and say A side etched, and then I will add for the B side very similar SGSW-001-B 48342.21 ... and B side etched. So we're almost done here. The last thing we have to do in order to make sure that this entry doesn't get moderated, because again, this is all maintained by the community. Certain people, I guess, have been elevated. Maybe even anyone can just go ahead and dispute someone's addition or change to an entry. So in order to submit, you do have to write a submission note. So I'll just say added matrix runouts. I'm so bad at typing under pressure like this, from record in hand. Just something simple like that, right? Here's what we added. Here's my source. I own the record. Preview submit. And it's going to say, before you submit, make sure that you didn't do anything wrong. I don't think I did. genres, I didn't mess with any of that, so I'm just going to go ahead and say I agree, submit. And now immediately our change has gone live here. So you can see the A side etched, the B side etched, and that's it. So now someone could come along and upvote this, which I guess would make it more permanent. Someone could come along and say, actually, that's wrong. Maybe I misread a character, or maybe I missed something, and they could strike it down. But given that this is like the only release of this, there's not many versions of it, I think it's pretty unlikely that it'll get moderated. So that's how easy it can be to simply add some more information to the database. Let's jump over. Let's do one more real quick. Now that you've seen this, I'm going to tab over to Hiroshi Yoshimura, who, as you can see, there's a lot more information on this record, including people talking about what they like about the pressing and all of that, and plenty of images that people have already uploaded, including the inserts. But for whatever reason, the matrix information is not on here. So we'll go to edit release. You can see here, this is an entry that's much older. So you can kind of try to pick through this, and you can see all the times it's been changed and the times people have made comments on the changes and accepted them or rejected them. And the last change was 7 years ago. We're going to edit release. We're not going to touch anything other than the identifiers and the matrix runout. This one's kind of funny. I'll pull up really quick again so you can see. Sometimes you can get into some issues when you're trying to enter this in, so I'll pause real briefly. All right, ignore my tessellated face there. And you can see here, these are the best images I was able to capture of the Hiroshi Yoshimura record. And I wanted to capture these for two reasons. One, to show you the difference between a stamped look on a runout. So you can see here how legible and rigid, even especially here, the LM-1. A lot of Japanese records in particular use stamping, and a lot of modern records do too, especially in like if you're buying them from maybe mass market retail like Walmart. You might see a lot of those records having stamps instead of etches because there's just so many of them made. But also interesting to note here are these two symbols. This is a circle with a B in it. Another one here, this is like the kind of universally, I think, regarded as like the Japan symbol. It kind of resembles the island, but I don't think that's exactly what it's supposed to be. And you want to be able to put those in. So what I did is I went to some other Japanese pressings, and I found someone else who knew how to get these ASCII icons in, and I just copy pasted them in my notes so I could reliably put them over. You can also kind of describe it. So, when we do the matrix runout and you can add a description, you can say like, literally give a description of like a circle with something that looks like Japan in it, right? And if you're not able to get the actual character in there. So yeah, let's jump over and let's add this, and I'll be right back. Okay, so we're back to Hiroshi here, and I'm gonna pull up my notepad where I've got these characters saved. So on the A side, let's see. The A side, I actually saw, there's a lot more to this, but I saw a capital V, and then in another area, the two characters, and a little more spacing, LM-1302A, a little bit more spacing, and then something that looked like 111, and then another symbol that I didn't capture an image of, that's kind of like this 4 dots almost in a star pattern, which I also found. I'll put it in here. And then a W, and I'm going to say side A, and I said, what was the, this is stamped. And now we'll just do matrix runout for side B. There was no V, this time it was a G. They didn't have the symbols, but we had LM-1302B, and then 111, and then that little burst symbol, and then no other letter that I saw. Side B, stamped. And now we're going to submit it and hope that no one dings us. added matrix runouts from record in hand. Interestingly, it's pulled up. Sometimes you get this. It says it found some kind of overlap or similarity to some other. Oh, this makes sense. So it says this is very similar to the promo, which, right, the promo might have the exact same stamping on it. I don't know about these Nurse with Wounds entries. I'm not worried about it. I'm not accidentally duplicating a Nurse with Wound thing here. Please check the releases above. And I agree, submit. And there we go. There's our runouts. So those are two where I just wanted to add the runouts. And now we're going to jump over to Dexter Gordon, where we're going to actually add some images, which is just as easy, actually. So here we go. And the reason I wanted to show this one too is because, so let me pull up my record again, and I know I'm a little small, but you can see the entry here for Go 1993. The image is just doesn't have the OB, and they don't have images of the inserts, but the one that I have has an OB on it, and it actually also has a barcode. So there's a couple things that we can add here, and this is an example where the matrix was really important because, you know, I found as I was adding all these Japanese records to my collection, one of the easiest ways to add them was by looking at that OB. Over the years, the style of the OB changes, the width, the color, the copy on it. So that's a really good indicator. But many of these Dexter Gordon entries didn't have an OB on them, and I ended up having to use this matrix runout to identify, oh, like, yeah, this is the one that I have, and now I'm just going to update the photos. So we'll do what we do, edit release. Instead of hitting edit release, so we're going to hit edit images. And this is going to take us to a very similar form, but it's all image only. And now I'm going to drag some files in here that I already took these photos with my phone. I spent just a minute cropping them to get them a little bit smaller. There's a limit on Discogs, I think they say it here. Images have to be less than 4 megabytes. That can be a little tricky with modern iPhones. They take pretty big images. So when you are attaching the images to like email them to yourself or however you're going to send them to the device that you're actually going to then update the entry on. So in this case, I'm using my home computer. You can, you know, the iPhone will let you choose to send lower quality images. But in this case, since I had already cropped them down to smaller squares, I thought I'd be under the cap, and I'm just under the cap. So let's drag these in. And it should be uploading. Oh, and here you can see my images are down here, pending. And you can even like move around the order. So they've got front, back. Maybe I want the OB up here, front, back. In fact, I probably want the OB to be like the hero shot. So I'm going to put it up here. And then they've got front, back, front, back. They've got the labels already, and I put images of the insert as well. So just, you know, for anyone to see, now they know that there's an insert. So just like with the other entry, we have to describe our changes. And so I'll write added images of jacket with OB front and back, as well as images of the marketing insert taken from record in collection. Simple as that. I agree, save changes. And now our image, since we moved it to the top, is going to be the default image for this. And you can see here, boom. So it kept the older images and added my new ones. And now we've contributed those. I could also go through and add the barcode, might as well, for the sake of completion here. So we'll hit edit release, edit release. Whoever had this before, I guess, didn't have the OB, so therefore they didn't have the barcode. Add barcode identifier. So reading it off the back real quick, it's 4988-006 680098. Barcode on OB. And go down to the bottom. Added barcode from OB. Yeah, on record in hand. Right, there's lots of other Dexter Gordons, makes sense. I agree, submit. And now you can see the barcode with the note on OB is right there. So that's it. We've edited some entries here, just added a little bit more for people. I'll come back with another part here soon-ish, hopefully, talking about how to make maybe a new entry if you have a record that doesn't have one on Discogs, and then we'll see what else we can do from there. So hopefully you found this helpful. Something else I'll call out before I sign off here. So if you can see on when you add to your collection, if you have an item in your collection, Discogs gives you this like in collection box where you can actually edit these fields. So one of the fields I edited was country. I did this for my own kind of organizational purposes. It default gives you media condition, sleeve condition, and folder. I added a section for notes where I get to, I wrote for this instance that has OB insert where I bought it, discontinued in Jimbocho in 2026. And then I added a field for myself called update metadata. So I like to put notes in here whenever I'm adding a new record to my collection. I scan the page and then I might note like, oh, the matrix runout's not on here, or it needs more photos, but maybe I don't have time to do it right now. And so I'll leave a note there. And then like sometimes I can go back and look through my collection if I have time, or I'm just like feeling like that fire to update Discogs, then I'll go find somewhere I've made notes. So we can talk maybe in another video about some of these features and some of the customization you can do, because all of it's like very hidden and not obvious. But there's some cool things that you can do with Discogs like that if you want to get nerdy about it. But anyways, let's end the video here. Hopefully you found that helpful. Again, please leave a comment below if you enjoy this type of content. Did you get inspired to go and contribute to the Wikipedia of records? Let me know, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. And we'll be back again with part 2. Thanks, everyone.